First story, co-parenting successfully through early stages of potential separation. Long story I'll try to keep short. My wife has been having an affair, and although she has told me she isn't sure what she wants to do, based on her behavior and some other factors, I believe she is intending for us to separate so that she can pursue that relationship. We are both women, married 17 years. I'm not sure of the timeline as I am giving her space right now to sort out her feelings and what she wants, but I want to start thinking about next steps now. Although she has talked about trying to work things out between us, I have reason to believe she is not being honest with me, and she has not stopped the affair. I would like to reconcile and work things out, but I don't think she does at this point, sadly. I'm heartbroken, but we have a 13-year-old daughter, and so really I just want to do what is best for her. Giving her space hasn't changed our day-to-day. We are still living together and have been behaving as though everything is normal, for the most part, minus the times she runs off to be with her affair partner. I suspect our daughter has some idea of what is happening as my wife hasn't been hiding it very well. My daughter will be starting therapy in a few weeks for sort of unrelated reasons. She has been having issues with friends and with anxiety at school. I could use some advice about how to handle this going forward. When should we tell our daughter, and how to handle that? How do we keep things amicable and be good co-parents throughout the early days of separation? Update. Wife wants a trial separation. How to handle finance. How to co-parent through this. Options. Update on my post. My wife is now saying she would like to initiate a trial separation, but she doesn't want to do anything permanent or drastic in case the time apart brings us closer together. Seems unlikely, but I'm willing to try. What are our best options for our daughter? She is 13 and very involved in sports, so needs a fair bit of shuttling around to places already as it is. And we only have one car at this point. No matter what, we both want what is best for her. We talked about bird nesting. Neither of us really have friends or family close by or close enough that we could stay with, so we'd need an apartment or apartments. Honestly, I'm a little lost and still just in shock that this is happening. Any thoughts appreciated? Update. Temporary separation looming following my wife's ongoing affair. Long story shorter, my wife, we are both women, has been having an affair with a co-worker for a few months. She does not want to stop. She says she is confused about us, but thinks she wants to pursue this relationship, as she has been unhappy for a while. I'm heartbroken and I still love my wife so much, but we have a 13-year-old daughter, and really I just want to do what is best for her. My wife is now saying she would like to initiate a trial separation, but she doesn't want to do anything permanent or drastic in case the time apart brings us closer together. Seems unlikely at this point, based on her actions, but sure. What are our best options here? We don't have a lot of extra money every month, so we talked about bird nesting. Neither of us really have friends or family close by or close enough that we could stay with, so we'd need an apartment or apartments. Honestly, I'm a little lost and still just in shock that this is happening. Any thoughts appreciated? Update. Could use some practical advice about telling kids, impending separation. But very long story short, my wife, we are both women, has been having an affair and does not want to stop. She isn't sure what she wants. I'm willing to try to work things out, but she wants time, space, and it looks like we are heading towards separation. We have a 13-year-old daughter, and she has obviously noticed things at home and, to be honest, is struggling as a result. We have gotten her into therapy, ostensibly for her anxiety around school friends, but we haven't talked to her about what is happening as of yet. We are realizing that we need to talk to her soon, even if we aren't sure exactly about some of the practical stuff yet. We've only talked vaguely about what a separation would look like, and haven't settled on anything concrete. My wife is adamant about not wanting to involve lawyers yet. I guess I'm looking for some advice around telling her. Do we hold off until we know who will be living where, how we will structure time, or do we tell her now? And just say that we are working on figuring all of that out and that we wanted to let her know where things are at now? Do we invite her input? I'm having a hard time finding practical advice on this. I know we need to emphasize that it has nothing to do with her, and that we both love her, etc. But I don't know how to get from "we need to talk to you about something" to "we love you so much, no matter what." What happens in between that? Update. Considering MC, but what are the next steps? Long story shorter, my wife, we are both women, has been having an affair with a co-worker since last August. I got suspicious and confronted her in early December. She admitted to it, and at the time said she was feeling confused. She had been unhappy for years, but she wasn't sure what to do. I said I would do whatever it takes to save our marriage. She said she would not consider MC, and that she is no longer in love with me and doesn't feel like she can be again. She also said at that time that she couldn't stop being in love with the other woman, that they have an emotional connection beyond anything we ever had. And of course they work closely together, and no matter what, she is not willing to change her job. Lots of long conversations, a lot of blame shifting. I was depressed for the last few years, and went through some significant losses. I admit I did not handle all of this well and pushed friends and family away from me, and withdrew in general. Wife says she craved emotional intimacy that I was not giving her, and that is why she pursued the affair. She feels that what I did to her was just as bad, if not worse, than her cheating, because I hurt her for years and she stuck around waiting for me to get better. Since last summer, I have been working on getting out of my grief fog and focusing on being a better person and parent, and I have made a lot of progress. We have a 13-year-old daughter. Since day, we've been trying to be as normal as possible. We are all in IC. We have been going back and forth on how to separate and when and what that would look like. 3 days ago my wife said she is considering breaking up with her AP, and asked if I would consider MC. I feel like my head is spinning. I have spent the last 4 months working on accepting that it is over, trying to fall out of love with her. It hasn't completely worked, and this revelation from her has me reconsidering everything. Update. She wants us to consider MC, but she won't quit her job or stop friendship with AP coworker. My wife again this morning said she is considering MC, but she spent 6+ hours yesterday with her AP, and they work together, very closely, 3 days a week. They have been friends for over 3 years, and it developed first into an EA last summer, which became physical sometime in the fall. My wife told me in September she was unhappy, but insisted there was no one else, which she admits now was a lie and she has apologized for. I said if she needed time to figure stuff out, then of course she could have that. I became suspicious in November and confronted her finally in early December. Since then, it has been a lot of blame shifting, hard conversations. I take responsibility for the mistakes I made in pushing her away, and pushing her to seek intimacy with someone else. She goes back and forth on what she wants. This morning she again said she is considering MC. I think that it's possible she is just getting scared of losing out on time with our daughter 13. I have spent 4+ months convincing myself to move forward, that she had moved on and I need to get space and work on myself and distance myself from her so that we can co-parent effectively. At one point, I felt and said I would do whatever I could to save my marriage for the sake of my kid. But my wife can't quit her job, and refuses to stop having at least a strong friendship with her AP, even if they break up. I suspect she's been scared of trying MC because she realizes they will encourage her to go NC. Can I even consider reconciling at this point? The few friends family I've been talking to about this have told me I need to move on, that she is manipulative and just being so awful to me. They have individually told me things they noticed about our relationship over the years that bothered them, that she bullies me, talks down to me, etc. But we've been together for over 20 years. I miss the relationship we had so much. It was so good so much of the time. We still laugh and have fun together every day. I don't know how to not have her in my life, even though right now it just hurts so much. Update. Disagreeing on telling our daughter, not everything, just that we are having issues. Thoughts. You can see my post history for the full, messed up story, but to make it much shorter, I'm a woman. My wife is having an affair with a co-worker, also a woman. Her AP is separated and has 3 young kids. Refused to stop or change jobs, or even consider not being in at least an intense friendship with her AP. They were friends first. It became emotional and then physical last summer. My wife says she was unhappy for years. We have a 13-year-old daughter. When I first found out, I said I would do anything to save our marriage. Both because I was still in love with her and also because, well, I don't want to mess up my whole life, and of course because of our daughter. Since December we've been trying to act normal while we figure out our next steps. Some days my wife says she absolutely will not try MC, will not stop the affair, we are broken and she's done. Other days she changes her mind, let's try MC, says she's confused and unsure of what she wants. I'm considering trying MC, trying R, and we are looking into that right now. We haven't told our daughter anything. Up until a week ago, we were moving towards separation, and we'd checked out some apartments, month-to-month lease, so that we could try separating and taking turns in our house with our daughter. The plan was to talk to our daughter in the next few weeks. Now that my wife has decided she wants to try R, she doesn't want to talk to our daughter. I do though think we should. Not tell her everything, obviously, but tell her that we are having issues. We are trying to work through them. We're not sure what's going to happen, but we both love her and want whatever is best for her. I want to treat her like a full person, a teenager, almost adult, who is part of this family. I know she is still a kid and doesn't need all the details. I just want to acknowledge to her that we realize she has probably noticed things aren't normal between us, and we are both sorry about that, but that we are trying to figure it out. My wife doesn't want to stress her out, but I think she is already stressed out, and being honest with her might help. My wife insists that my daughter's anxiety is about school friend drama, and has nothing to do with us. I think she is wrong. My daughter has also said a couple of offhand comments that lead me to believe she's suspicious about the affair. It feels like my wife has another family. It's always AP this, AP that. She snorted and said yeah right when I said my wife had to work late. I don't want to tell her about the affair. I don't want to damage their relationship at all. And I made mistakes too. I self-medicated while I was dealing with losing both my parents, and I shut myself off emotionally from my wife and all my friends and family. I was not as good a parent as I should have been. I'm working on my grief and bad habits and getting much better. So I do worry that if we tell her we are having issues, she may ask point blank about the AP. I don't think that she will, because I think she will, like I was, be too scared about the answer. And I worry that if she does ask point blank, my wife will tell our kid about my mistakes too, and she would have the right to. I think our relationship wasn't damaged by just the affair. There are many other issues. Thoughts from anyone with kids? Or anyone else, I guess? Update. Beginning MC but wife won't stop friendship with AP coworker. Without getting any too many details, they work very closely. Just the two of them, for 7-hour days 3 days per week. The other 2 days they work in the same office but not as closely. My wife won't quit her job. They were friends for years before it progressed to an emotional and then physical affair last summer. My wife has said she absolutely will not stop being best friends with her AP, even if they break up. They are still together as of this post. Note, we are all women. I said I understand that she can't quit her job, but I do wish they wouldn't stay friends. For the last 6 months, my wife has been spending 6 to 12 hours every weekend with her AP in addition to their working time, sometimes on weeknights as well. Our daughter has noticed and thinks it's weird. She confided in me she feels like wife has another family. The AP keeps giving expensive gifts to our daughter. As of a few months ago, my wife finally stopped taking our daughter to be with AP and her kids when I told her several times that it made me uncomfortable. As of this morning, I told my wife I would consider reconciliation, try marriage counseling, but I can't promise that I can be okay with her maintaining a close friendship with her AP, even if they stop sleeping together. I said I would try to trust her, that I would try anything to save our marriage, but that I'm honestly not sure that I can ever trust her again. But I will try, hoping MC can help. Any advice appreciated. For whatever it's worth, I'm an IC, and our daughter is in IC, ostensibly for anxiety she has been having around school stuff. Update: co-parenting during separation after infidelity. You can see my post history for the long, complicated story, but in a nutshell, my wife and I, both women, married 20 years, have a 13-year-old. Wife has been having an for over 6 months. AP is also a woman and a co-worker. She will not stop the relationship, and so we will be moving towards separation. Our daughter hasn't been told any of this yet, but will be soon. Not the affair, just that we need to separate. We are both in agreement on 50-50 custody, and that any sports etc our daughter does are neutral. As in, we both attend practices, games, with no issues. These can be several times a week depending on time of year. Despite the infidelity, we both want to be as friendly, amicable as possible for the sake of our daughter. Because of the high cost of living in our city, we are considering a bunch of options for where we will live. We are considering temporarily getting a small apartment, or just a room, to share, for whichever parent doesn't have the kid at the time, and sharing our house. My wife seems to think we could do this until our daughter finishes high school. I myself think this would be a stopgap measure. And I think my wife wants to do it just in case things don't work out with her AP, if I'm being completely honest. Or, of course, we could sell the house and each decide what to do quite separately, and have our daughter go back and forth. It would take a couple of months for us to get the house ready and sell, but it has already been months of living together at this point. Considering everything else, I think this might be my preference, but I want to do what is best for kiddo. And there's also a part of me that worries about spending that much more time together. Thoughts? And for custody, I'm guessing that if we end up selling, doing a week at a time would make the most sense. But if we nest, then something shorter, 3/4/etc or something? Advice needed. Update: considering but very torn. Long story shorter, my wife, we are both women, has been having an affair with a co-worker since last August. I got suspicious and confronted her in early December. She admitted to it, and at the time said she was feeling confused, she had been unhappy for years, etc. Since then, she has been going back and forth on what she wants. Well, we basically live as though everything is normal. We have a teen daughter. Though she has been in a romantic and sexual relationship with this other woman the whole time, they work very closely together as well. Recently, my wife told me they had broken up, mutual decision. But she is not willing to stop being best friends with her, have her in her life regularly, work with her, etc. etc. Lately, as we both waffle back and forth, we've started MC. Just had an intake session so far, but we've also been looking at apartments, trying to figure out next steps. I don't know, it's all been a bit of a mess. Here's where I am at now. For 6+ months, I have been trying to get over her, basically, to focus on moving towards separation and learning how to co-parent well together. But now she is saying she wants to try, but also that she doesn't know if she can be monogamous. At the same time, I am struggling with looking towards a life where I see less of my daughter, where my finances are tighter, and, if I'm honest, I am really sad about spending less no time with my wife, despite all my efforts. I do still love her, but is it just because it is familiar and I am scared of change? I know we both weren't happy, even before her affair. The not-so-great state of our marriage before, that's on both of us. And I take my share of responsibility for the mistakes I made then. However, it feels like what she did, it might have taken it past the point of no return. I just don't know. I didn't want any of this for my kid, or for myself. Any advice appreciated. For whatever it's worth, I'm an IC as well. Update. Her therapist thinks I am manipulative and narcissistic and seems to validate her cheating. We are both women, in our 40s. Wife had a 9-month-long affair with coworker. Ended the affair a month ago but remains in a close friendship with AP. Aside from working together closely every day, they are in frequent communication and spend time together on the weekend. The past few days my wife has said some things that are kind of baffling to me, and I could use some insight. Essentially, she has said her therapist, "We've just started MC but we've both been doing individual therapy for some time," has said she shouldn't feel guilty or bad about the affair, that I am manipulative. I neglected her needs and she didn't have a choice, and that she shouldn't shoulder the blame for the current state of our marriage. I admit that our marriage prior to the affair was not in a great state. Long story shorter, I take responsibility for my share of that. I had some mental health stuff. Both my parents died. I was not great. Now I get that of course she can't take on all the blame or guilt. Her feeling awful isn't helpful to me or our marriage. But I feel like I'm taking on all the blame now. As an example, it sucks but when she talks to me about work stuff, I feel uneasy. I try to be supportive, but I'm distracted thinking about whether or not her AP was there in the meeting. Or like if the colleague she's complaining to me about knows about her and AP, that kind of thing. So she's talking about work and I get quiet and she can tell I'm uncomfortable. Then she gets angry that I'm being unsupportive of her job. And I express that of course I support her work, but that it's hard for me to hear about it. She said that my feelings are not her responsibility, that it's up to me to get over past the affair, and basically, as per her therapist, it's a me problem. She has said she knows the affair was wrong, but it's always followed up with a justification. It's not like I sought this out. You weren't there for me either and I was hurting etc. etc. She says she thinks she wants to try to work things out with us, but she still isn't sure about what she wants, that going NC with the AP is absolutely not an option for her. I feel like such a failure for my daughter if I can't figure out a way to make this work, but I also feel like I'm being expected to make sure I meet all her emotional needs and be open and honest with her so that she doesn't feel the need to be with APB, trust her explicitly without any proof. She has not offered me any proof that they are not still in a relationship. Get over the hurt and pain of the affair and stop making her feel bad about it by going quiet when she talks about AP. This seems like a lot. Update. Should spouses have secrets? Wife's therapist told her to get a locking filing cabinet so she can have privacy. Mostly what it says above. We're sort of trying I'm trying. She's not sure what she wants and is still seeing AP but it's not going well. My wife had a therapy appointment last night and I really am struggling to understand what this therapist is all about because it really seems like she somehow found a therapist who just validates the heck out of her. Who has convinced my wife I am an evil manipulative narcissist. My wife is convinced she is the victim because I neglected her for years. My parents both died last year. I admit I was struggling a bit even before that and didn't get help that I should have. And her therapist has helped her to justify it all. Her therapist, allegedly, told her she can't take on any blame for the affair because that's not the main issue in our marriage. The main issue is, allegedly, that I am either too needy or too closed off, depending on the day of the week. My wife reminds me regularly that my hurt feelings are not her responsibility, and that it's not fair for me to be upset when she talks about texts with etc. her AP around me. And apparently now therapist told my wife she needs to prioritize herself more, and take more time to herself. Apparently the 10-plus-hour-long dates she has with her AP every weekend don't count, leaving me at home with our teen daughter and no vehicle. And her therapist says that she needs to get a locking filing cabinet so that I won't invade her privacy again. I admit to snooping on her phone in the first couple of months before and after D-Day, which I'm not proud of, but I just kept finding new lies. It was like I was addicted to finding new horrible things she was lying to me about. Even as she was telling me straight to my face, I'm being totally honest with you. I know that sounds like I am justifying my snooping, and I guess I am. But she admits she wouldn't have told me any of it. I've stopped looking now, because I realized it was just too painful to read their messages to each other, and I couldn't be sure what was true. I saw that she was also lying about stuff to the AP. I don't know, I totally get that we all deserve privacy, but also I don't have anything on my phone or in my journal or anywhere that I wouldn't be fine with my wife reading or seeing. And now, when I ask if she is being completely honest with me, she says mostly. My wife says I am seeing things too black and white, and that I'm making it all about me and whether or not I can get past the betrayal. But it is really about how my wife isn't sure she can ever trust me again because I went through her phone. And because she can't trust that I won't spiral into depression and be neglectful of her again in the future. I just really hate how much of this supposed trying to work on our marriage ends up with me holding her and comforting her and telling her that she's right. It is all my fault. Update. Co-parenting through trial separation and potential nesting situation. My wife and we are both women, have a teenage daughter, and we own a home. And we are considering a trial separation, due to her continued infidelity. We live in a very expensive city, but we got in just before the market here took off, so our mortgage is very cheap. Neither of us have substantial savings, and although we are doing okay, we aren't high-income earners and earn around the same salary. We are both concerned about losing the equity we have in our home, and we care deeply about each other, despite the cheating. We're still getting along quite well for the most part. And we also aren't 100% if this is a trial separation or likely to be permanent. Basically, we're both very unsure of what we want for our relationship together. But we are on the same page about the important stuff, to be good parents for our daughter and give her as much love and stability as we can. I know this isn't the sub for financial stuff. So what I am looking for is which of these options seems the best emotionally, and takes into consideration that we may be able to reconcile at some point. Right now, we are considering bird nesting option. We take turns staying in our home, and we rent a cheap bedroom in the shared apartment for when we are not with our daughter. This option is obviously the cheapest, and the least intrusive for our daughter, and the easiest in some ways. But I have concerns, obviously. Let's be landlord's option. We rent out our house, and each rent separate but hopefully geographically close, 2-bedroom apartments, and share custody. But I think we'd need to do a lot of renos before our home would even be rentable. Scorched earth option, sell the house, and we each do what we want with the proceeds. Maybe rent, maybe buy a condo, whatever. We'd share custody, of course. Any advice is appreciated. We're feeling really torn. Neither of us can afford to buy the other out of the home, and to be honest, even if I could, I wouldn't want to, for many reasons. Update. Having a hard time not thinking about it. Just having a hard few days here. We've got our second joint appointment with the MC tomorrow. Wife had her individual appointment last week and called it very validating, which shook me to be honest, as I have no idea how to take that. My wife went to a last-minute work conference Friday and Saturday, staying overnight in a hotel with her AP. Yes, there really was a work conference, and I know AP was there. I saw the agenda. She had a 10-minute presentation on the Saturday, but it wasn't something my wife would have needed to go to, at all. Most of it was just passing resolutions and introducing the new board of the professional association the AP is part of. My wife works with AP but isn't in the same profession. I was so upset that she wanted to go. I was crying, and she still left. Our daughter realized something was off and was cold with her when she called. I don't understand why she's not more worried about our daughter knowing about the affair. And I found out this morning, my wife signed our daughter up for a week at camp with AP's kids. As per my daughter, my wife made AP and other co-worker corner daughter, and made me agree to sign up as a helper. Like I really want to work for free for a week. Our daughter is a teenager. I just don't understand. She says I don't understand their relationship, and truly, I really do not. Because my wife was my number one priority, after our kid, obviously. And yes, I made mistakes in our marriage, but I didn't put another person ahead of her. I don't get why she doesn't see how that is worse. It's been 7+ months since D-Day, 8+ months since I figured out about the affair. I thought I'd be in a different headspace by now. I feel like nothing has changed at all, and it's my own fault for not doing anything to change it. Update. We've decided to proceed with separating, and I am feeling happier and lighter already. Long story shorter, I'm a woman in my 40s, married to another woman in her 40s. She has been having an affair with a coworker since last summer. I found out in December. Since then we've been trying to figure it out. We had a joint appointment with the marriage counselor last week, and I shocked myself by basically blurting out in the first 5 minutes that I was pretty sure my wife had never actually stopped dating the AP, and that our interaction on the previous Friday morning, when she asked me is it okay if I leave right now to go to a work event for 2 days, it means spending the night at a hotel with AP, and I responded by bursting into tears. And then she left anyway. Had led me to believe that my wife didn't really want to work things out with us. My wife admitted they hadn't really broken up. She said she's still confused and doesn't know what she wants, but she needs space and time apart. We spent the rest of the appointment focused on improving our communication skills, to assist us with having a good co-parenting relationship for our teenage daughter. My wife said something in the car ride home that was so completely just mean, hurtful, and awful that it was like a switch went off for me. And after that, well, I really did realize that there was nothing I could have done to fix this. That I was playing a game that was literally impossible to win. And that spending the last 7+ months playing this impossible game has left me in so much pain, that there is no way separating could be worse. And now, things have been okay. We are still living together for now, trying to figure out how to try some kind of nesting arrangement until we can figure out our long-term plans. But she's decided to start sleeping in the living room, her choice. And we are spending as much time apart as possible while still co-parenting and being there for our kid. I took off my wedding ring. I went out Saturday night to go dancing with a friend, who also just got out of a long-term relationship, and it was fun. It's been a week now, and I feel shockingly good. I can't believe it, but I actually feel so much better now, already. She took off to be with her AP twice in the past week, both for 10+ hours, and while I'll admit there were pangs of sadness, I actually felt okay. I barely thought about it. I focused on myself and my daughter, and it was awesome. So, thanks everyone. There's a part of me that wishes I could have been the one to ultimately make the decision, to feel that power, but I'm accepting that I may never have gotten there, and that's okay. Lots more hurdles to get past as we go through this process, but I feel almost happy. Update. Do kids inevitably prefer one home space over the other? I'm in the early stages of separating from my wife. We are both women. We have a young teenager together. We want to do 50-50, but we're not sure what to do about where to live. We are considering one of us stays in the home and the other rents an apartment, and we continue to share things equally. But I struggle with a few things. First, I worry about my kid preferring the family home and not wanting to stay at an apartment, but maybe she would love having a new room to decorate and a new space. She's a young teen, as I mentioned. I also have to admit, there's a small part of me that feels like if I am the one to move out, will people think that I am to blame for the divorce? We are separating due to her infidelity, so I have to admit, there's a prideful part of me that doesn't want to risk anyone thinking that I'm the one that cheated. Thoughts? Experiences? Do kids always prefer the family home over a new apartment? What if I stay in the house, and then my wife gets an apartment that has a pool or something, and she prefers that space? I really just want it to be completely fair, and for our daughter to feel safe and comfortable and happy in both spaces. I know no one here can predict the future but would love some thoughts. Update. Wife wants to tell daughter about her relationship with her AP. My wife and I, we are both women, are moving towards separation, but still doing marriage counseling, though we are thinking of it as more like two people counseling. Our goal is not to reconcile anymore, but to work through issues relating to parenting our daughter. We want to be in a solid place as we work through this transition and changes together. Anyway, towards the end of a very good session the other night, my wife raises that she doesn't think it's fair for me to say I don't want our daughter to be around the AP. They are still together, though my wife still maintains it's not that serious, and has said many things about how she would never want to be in a real relationship with this woman. My wife said she feels bad lying to our daughter about the nature of their relationship and wants to tell her. Our daughter will be around my wife and the AP tomorrow. It's a work event where kids are invited. I obviously will not be going. I have been doing my best to try to protect my daughter from finding out. I worried it would devastate her the same way it did me when I found out my dad was cheating on my mom. But our counselor said that it's not up to me to protect her, and if my wife wants to tell her, that is her choice. My wife is concerned and doesn't want that the story will be that we're separating because my wife cheated, when it's more complicated than that. I agree, but I also don't want the story to be that cheating is okay, or that having affairs is just something that happens, and that it's justified, that it's not that big a deal. I know my daughter is suspicious already, and sometimes she seems angry and upset about it, but other times she acts totally normal with my wife. I don't want my daughter to be devastated or to hate my wife, but I don't want her to grow up thinking that affairs are okay, that faithfulness is optional. I don't want her to think that I'm fine with it. I know the prevalent theme in this sub is that the kids should know. So for those that have kids, how did they take it? Daughter is 13, an only child.